Reverend Mark Creech currently serves as the Executive Director of the Christian Action League. He's held this position since November of 1999. Before taking the position, Reverend Creech served as a pastor for 20 years, ministering to 6 churches. Serving as a registered lobbyist in the North Carolina General Assembly, Reverend Creech meets regularly with state lawmakers to stop legislation ranging from attempts to promote a homosexual agenda to the advancement of more legalized gambling in the Tar Heel State. His efforts have also been responsible for getting some very important pro-family pieces of legislation through the General Assembly. Would you welcome Reverend Creech?
Hello, North Carolina. A few days ago, I received an email from a former colleague of mine with a subject line that read, "Sad and outraged." The text of the correspondence chided me for my support and advocacy of House Bill 2. The email read, and I quote, "Under any theological interpretation, I fail to see how this becomes the basis on which HB 2 is written, enacted, and signed. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." I responded to the email with the following. I too am sad and outraged. Sad and outraged that you would interpret the greatest commandment to mean that women and young girls should be forced to undress or shower in the presence of men. Violating their fundamental right to privacy. I am sad and outraged that you would have me and others suspend our right, our God-given right to live and work according to our peacefully expressed beliefs, something that the Charlotte Ordinance would have taken away. I am sad and outraged that you would think that somehow this is neighborly love. I am sad and outraged at such perversions of the meaning of love. Love rejoices not in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Another person sent me an email that called me a phony Christian because of my support for House Bill 2. Let me ask you something. What could possibly be more phony or hypocritical than a sexual predator that passes himself off as a woman, exploits a loophole in a city ordinance like the one passed in Charlotte, positions himself in a woman's restroom, and preys on women and children? Yet, because I would rejoice in the truth and warn others of a public policy that abandoned all common sense and exacerbated the dangers of sexual assault and rape already prevalent in restrooms, somehow I am at fault. I'll not even be nuisance with such false guilt. And neither should any of you who support House Bill 2. And neither should our lawmakers who passed the measure or our governor who signed it. Quite the contrary, they did the right thing. When I was the tender age of 12 years old, I foolishly jumped into waters far over my head, not knowing how to swim. 2 boys about my own age dove in to rescue me, but I nearly drowned them because of all of my violent thrashing about. Still, it was their love for me that made them willing to chance their own safety to preserve my life. Love, my friends, is when you are courageous and willing to risk your own well-being for the sake of another. You're willing to endure the thrashings. You're willing to endure the erroneous perceptions. You're willing to endure the insults, the wrath, in order to protect or save some person or group. And I want to tell you something. I've been lobbying here for almost 17 years, and I've never seen anything quite like the passage of House Bill 2. Because when lawmakers passed that bill, they were well aware that they were going to be pounded by the left. Knowing how the press would likely misrepresent their motives as well as the facts, knowing the issue would wrongly be framed as a civil rights matter, knowing that the harmful tide of political correctness might wash over them, even washing them away, knowing that it could cost them politically, yet they did it anyway. And yet what they did, I suggest to you, was a very loving act. We should be more than suspicious of the fame caused by groups like the Human Rights Campaign, or Equality North Carolina, or the CEOs and celebrities that tout love and tolerance while they hold our state's economy hostage to their demands. Love doesn't rejoice in iniquity. Love rejoices in the truth. And yes, I will agree that we've got a mess, but the truth of the matter is the Charlotte City Council and Mayor Jennifer Roberts are responsible. They started this mess. Despite the efforts of thousands of citizens from Charlotte, Representative Dan Bishop of Mecklenburg County and Governor McCrory, who begged them not to pass that egregious ordinance. Attorney General Roy Cooper's only job is to defend the laws. His job is to defend the laws and the Constitution of our state. But he was so preoccupied with running for governor, he refused to do it. And because of his failure to do his job, another solution had to be found. And the only recourse for protecting our state's women and children from an unreasonable imposition on their fundamental right to privacy, the only recourse for preventing government from overreaching into private businesses and churches and forcing them to promote ideas and participate in events that conflicted with their peacefully held beliefs was the swift passage of House Bill 2. And if you agree with me, I hope you'll make it loud and clear. Love doesn't hang the heroes who tried to get us out of danger. Love instead censors the culprits who actually put us in harm's way. Love doesn't rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. I believe that the eyes of the whole country are watching our state, especially the 29 other states that have laws with similar levels of anti-discrimination protections as our own. They'll be watching us to see if the leftist media and the LGBT so-called inclusion and diversity police, the pink political Goliath, can succeed in forcing certain objectionable behaviors on private businesses and churches, or creating a new and outrageous so-called right for men to go into women's restrooms and showers. They'll be watching to see the prospects of this whole country descending into madness. Dr. Keith Abloh, a psychiatrist and a member of the Fox News medical team, recently summed it up well, I think, when he wrote the following. The bathroom debate is really a debate about the fundamental way we Americans will define any truth, whether it's something simply felt by an individual or something scientifically demonstrable and verifiable. If we believe that transgender individuals must use the restroom they choose, one could argue that many of our cultural institutions must flex away from fact. And one could argue that cultural chaos will result. This is not hyperbole. More importantly, this must not happen. I close with these solemn words. One thing is for certain. We shall never prevail if we do not endure until the very end. No one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom. And none of us knows what to expect in the future. We only know what to expect of ourselves. Frederick William Robertson once said, "There are three things that deserve no mercy: hypocrisy, fraud, and tyranny." And I suggest that the political agenda of the opponents of HB 2 embody all three. And we shall give them no quarter. I suggest, to the chagrin of many that believe otherwise, to resist any repeal of HB 2 is to show love.
Right.
It is a tough love. Nonetheless, the struggle to support the measure is a proper application of loving the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. For love rejoices not in iniquity, but in the truth.